All right, this is one of the funniest cell phones I have ever seen, and I want to walk you through it. Attorney General Pam Bondi just made the same mistake 2 times in a row, where she tried to take credit for a number or a trend that is actually just because of what the Biden administration did. And she posts a chart that undercuts the point she's trying to make. Let's back up to what she posted last night regarding the Minnesota fraud case, and then I'll show you the deleted post that she removed from the internet about 30 minutes ago. This reads, Minnesota fraud from Attorney General Pam Bondi. At Nick Shirley's work has helped show Americans the scale of fraud in Tim Walz's Minnesota. The Justice Department has been investigating this for months. So far, we have charged 98 individuals, 85 of Somali descent, and more than 60 have been found guilty in court. We are prosecuting more. What does she mean we have been prosecuting them? This happened under the Biden administration. All of the convictions Pam Bondi refers to in her tweet thread were from the Biden DOJ. Every single one was from 2024 or before that. Securing a sentence seems like a gaslighting and tricky way for Bondi to misword things or mislead people through her wording. She says that they've secured sentences because she's trying to obscure the fact that the actual arrests, convictions, and investigations were done under the Biden administration. So all of this fraud that people have gotten themselves worked up to actually had already been caught under the Biden administration. CBS further breaks down how there were fraud schemes before during COVID, but Nick Shirley hasn't uncovered any evidence of new fraud. Take a listen.
According to federal prosecutors, it was really during COVID that fraudsters set up these fake restaurants or sham businesses and health clinics that would provide things like meals to school children.
Which is awful, by the way. We should minimize any amount of fraud. And I said that in my previous video, but I guess I didn't say it clearly enough because some commenters were asking me like, what, are you for fraud? Are you? No, I said that fraud needs to be taken care of. But it seems like Nick Shirley was misconstruing videos and editing up videos to make it seem like there was a new case of fraud when he was actually just rehashing prior investigations.
Or behavioral health services or housing to people with addiction. And because during COVID you didn't have the same checks and balances, you had social distancing, you couldn't have the site visits, you couldn't have the in-person inspections, well, the fraudsters got away with it all and provided the receipts and collected boatloads of cash from us, the taxpayers. More than 90 people have been charged in the schemes, mostly Somalis, and more than 60 people have been convicted. Now you have this viral video getting traction online. It's from influencer Nick Shirley, and he visited several daycares, Somali-owned daycares in the Twin Cities, and basically accused them of doing the same thing, running these sham operations where kids didn't show up, but still billed the federal government and collected millions of dollars in Medicaid funds. We visited those sites too, as did state inspectors many times over the last 6 months, and we found the facts on the ground tell a different story. Those daycares, many of them were written up for safety violations, things like maybe busted equipment or staff training issues, but that's not the same as being fraudulent. So it's important to put all of this into context. Granted, fraud is indisputably an issue in Minnesota, and next year it's going to turn up the heat continuously on state officials, including Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, who's running for re-election. And there are 14 programs, Medicaid-funded programs, that are currently under investigation by state and federal government. But childcare is not one of them. Again, this is something we're going to keep following.
It's important to be right when you are making accusations of this scale. Nick Shirley didn't go in there and say, I think there are some safety concerns that could pop up at these places. No. He accused them with no basis whatsoever of fraudulently funneling tens of millions of dollars away of taxpayer funds into their pockets, fraudulently scamming millions and tens of millions of people when he just showed up at the wrong time at the wrong place. Conservatives have stirred themselves into such a frenzy that they're now calling for Tim Walz to resign and be thrown in jail. Let me show you Fox News host Leslie Marshall debunking a lot of these talking points.
Well, I looked at what he could be doing, and I looked at what he is doing. One of the things that ties his hands is this very legislature that is trying to get him to resign. Interesting, they're not asking for a recall. So when they say the people of Minnesota don't want him, we'll put it to a recall and let the people of Minnesota decide.
They won't actually put it to a recall because Tim Walz would likely be reelected immediately.
Todd, love you. Google. If you Google, actually local Minnesota news outlets have been reporting on this for years. Speaking of years, during the Biden administration, there were 59 people convicted so far. The ringleader is not Somalian. She's a white woman named Amy Block. She was found guilty on all 7 counts that were brought against her. So there are people that are already in prison. And remember, some of these are not DHS or federal-related facilities. Some of these facilities were closed down for other reasons, not even fraud. But back to your question about Tim Walz. He asked the legislature in his state to give him more authority so that he could do more, and they said no. 1. 2, he also has closed a number of these centers already, and not just for fraud. They were investigating them for everything else. One, for example, on that video that went out, not the one from years ago, the one just recently, they were already closed because they were a bad daycare center. There was no fraud. They were just not doing a good job of the daycare. He hired outside firms to audit the payments to these organizations. He shut down the housing stabilization entirely.
So Tim Walz has taken the steps to try to combat this fraud. A lot of it has already been investigated, but that's not as fun as a right-wing witch hunt. Crazy story that shows the power of the internet, how things can spread like wildfire, even when they aren't the truth. So just to go back, when Pam Bondi is gloating over these 90 arrests, good, I'm glad that people were arrested, but Biden did that. You have no right to gloat whatsoever. This brings us on to her deleted post where she made the exact same mistake. Midas Touch reports, just in, Attorney General Pam Bondi deletes a post touting a chart as proof of the Trump admin's success in reducing drug overdoses. But she deleted it after then being informed that the data actually reflected only the Biden administration's record. As you can see, Pam Bondi posted this. Since day one, the Trump administration and this Department of Justice have been fighting to end the drug epidemic in our country. Oh yeah? Is that why Trump is striking ships for reasons unknown that don't actually have drugs on them, while in turn pardoning the former president of Honduras, who actually did smuggle 500 kilos of cocaine into the United States and brag about how he wanted to shove the white stuff up the nose of the gringos? Those were his words. And their children, I believe he said. He bragged about getting Americans addicted on drugs, and Trump pardoned this guy, but I digress. Attorney General Pam Bondi claims since day one the Trump admin has been trying to end the drug epidemic. The problem is, if you look at where the chart ends, it ends in October of 2024. I mean, you can see the start date of 2025 right here. Trump took office, 1 month into 2025, so you can reasonably assume it'd be like a millimeter into 2025, but no. It ends at the end of 2024. As Representative Ted Lieu points out, dear Attorney General Pam Bondi, the chart you provided ends in October of 2024. Thank you for unintentionally giving massive credit to Joe Biden. Also, when are you going to stop violating federal law and provide the unredacted Epstein files? Happy New Year, and the post is deleted. So Pam Bondi can't even release the proper files she's supposed to be releasing, but the data she is releasing is wrong and makes her look like an idiot and makes the Biden administration look good. I'm going to leave it there. If you appreciate these videos, drop a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.